stupid guy, adding he is a pompous fool. The president is lashing out after these diplomatic cables where this ambassador called the president inept and incompetent and insecure were leaked to the press. The president yesterday said that the U.S. would no longer deal with him and later disinvited him from a planned White House dinner. All of this creating a dangerous rift between the U.S. and its closest ally. So with me now, Democratic presidential candidate and former U.S. Congressman John Delaney. Congressman Delaney, a pleasure. Thanks for
swinging by
CNN.
Thank you.
So when you hear the ambassador's words, inept, incompetent, and insecure, you agree with him describing President Trump?
I do think it's a pretty accurate description, but I think the president's response is terrible. I mean, the president is kind of a norm-destroying president. And he should I'm sure he doesn't agree with those comments. He should take the high road, right? Because our allies and these alliances that we've spent so long building are such a huge asset to this country, and the president just trashes them all the time.
Yet it's okay when Kim Jong-un calls him, insults him, yet our closest ally, when they insult us, that's the one he takes to heart. Why is that?
Well, because the president doesn't believe in alliances. He fundamentally doesn't believe in the kind of the world order that we've helped create over the last several decades, where we've developed these amazing relationships with countries all around the world, and we work with them to try to accomplish things. That's why he tore up the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which was a huge mistake.
Yeah.
That's why he questioned NATO. That's why he tore up the Paris Accord. He just doesn't look at the world in the right way. He thinks it's all transactional. He thinks it's all about him. Right? He's reckless, he's lawless. As I say, he's norm destroying, because one of the great norms of our country is that we have these amazing relationships around the world. And we've worked really hard to build them. And we've done it for our own self-interest, quite frankly, right? Because having these alliances really helps us lead around the world. And that's what we have to get back to in 2020. We need a president who wants to lead on all the important conversations around the world and work with our allies to do it.
How about this conversation about Labor Secretary Alex Acosta, who you are part of this growing chorus of Democrats saying the guy has to resign.
He clearly has to resign.
He has to resign. President Trump was asked about this at the White House just a bit ago, and he said that he feels badly for him. Your response to that?
Well, I mean, it's terrible. I mean, this Epstein...
terrible.
Well, if he feels badly for someone who obviously, in my judgment, did something wrong and gave this horrible human being a terribly light sentence, and there's other aspects of his rulings also that are under question, he always has the wrong instinct, right? When you see the situation in Charlottesville.
Yes.
He says both sides, right? He always has precisely the wrong instinct in terms of standing up for what is right. He should ask this person in his administration to resign.
He should.
He should.
Obamacare. I was just talking to Javier Becerra over in the state of California, the AG over there. The courts are hearing the case today. You are the only guy up there as this, former healthcare finance executive. Right. You know a thing or two about the healthcare industry. And so let's just say that you are not the final candidate standing. But you want to have your mark on this really important discussion on policy in this country.
Right.
What do you want that to be?
Again, as you said, I'm the only person who has any experience in the healthcare industry who's running for president. What we should do is, the first thing we should do is fix the Affordable Care Act, because it was a good law. I hate that so many Democrats called incremental progress. I think it was historic progress, and I think that's a huge disservice to President Obama. There's things we can do to fix it. We should do that right away. Then we should have a conversation towards universal health care. So we should build on the Affordable Care Act and create a universal health care system where everyone has basic health care as a right of citizenship for free. But what we shouldn't do is make private insurance illegal. That's a terrible idea. We will lose to Trump by 10 points if we run on that, because half the American people have private insurance. For many Americans, it's the most important aspect of their lives.
Yeah.
And it's also bad policy. It'll take a lot of resources out of the healthcare industry and result in reduced quality and access.
So keep that option.
Yes, I mean, isn't that obvious?
Yeah.
I mean, if the government...
Not to all the candidates and not to some people in this country, but I hear you.
But think about this, if the government plan that we create is so great, then people will migrate off the private insurance. So why do we have to be the party of subtraction? Why do we have to go around and tell the American people we're going to take away something you have? Why don't we be the party of addition and take these uninsured Americans and make sure they get coverage?
I want to ask you about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She's been taking jabs at some of these freshman members of Congress, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, after a number of them voted against the border bill, saying it wouldn't have gone far enough.
Right.
My question to you is, with regard to the House Speaker, is that really helpful?
I'm a big Nancy Pelosi fan, so I'll start with that. I think she's one of the most impressive people that I've actually ever met in my life. And I really do. And I think she's handling her position extremely well. In many ways, she's the only person protecting our democracy. I think what a lot of us running for president should be doing is supporting Speaker Pelosi. And I think she's handling the job very well. And I think the border bill was a huge success. I think it was absolutely a huge success.
So you approve of her going after these freshman Democrats?
Listen, that's her business. I think she has to defend her majority. Because we have to remember, we took control of the House of Representatives, which was unbelievably important because it put a check on the president. We did it with 40 new members who flipped Republican districts. That's the whole story of the 2018 midterm, right? How those people did it. That's our roadmap for 2020. Those folks ran on solutions, solving problems, bringing people together, jobs, infrastructure, fixing healthcare. They didn't run on things that a small minority of the American people support.
I got you. So you're saying she is backing up her majority despite any sort of jab she may have of what seems as maybe the minority within her party, these louder voices.
She's really smart, and she knows what she's doing.
Okay.
And she wants us to win the White House, she wants us to win the Senate, and she wants to keep the House. And she's trying to lead accordingly.
Let's talk about 2020. I know Congressman Swalwell says he is quitting the race, right, to narrow the field to better the chances of beating President Trump. Do you agree that he should be doing that, and do you think perhaps you could take a page out of his playbook?
I like Eric Swalwell. I think he's a great member of Congress. You know, I don't know what was behind his decision to leave the race. I think we're having a great debate right now, and I think having a big field is terrific because this has to be a battle of ideas. Think about where we were a month ago. Everyone was going down the path towards this single-payer Medicare for all. I stepped forward and I said, listen, there's a better way. And now the conversation is changing. That's the whole point of a primary. We have to put up a candidate who can actually win in 2020. And to win in 2020, you have to win the center. You have to run on real solutions, not impossible promises. You have to tell the American people how you're going to fix healthcare, lower pharmaceutical prices, build infrastructure, create jobs, all of those things that matter to Americans. And
so
this
you see it
process,
as like political Darwinism in a sense, because there are people out there who are saying there's so many people on the stage, like we need to hurry up and find the right man or woman so that they can take down President Trump.
Listen,
so then you say,
last time the Republicans had a huge field and we had a small field. Who won? So there's no evidence to say that these big fields actually prevent us from putting up, you know, a candidate who can win. So I think we're having a great debate of ideas, and I think it should unfold. We're not casting votes for a long time. We just had the first debate, right? You all are going to have the second one in Detroit, which, by the way, I think is a great setting for the next debate.
Yeah.
You can tell the whole story of America in many ways through what's happened to Detroit across the last several decades. So I think it's early. We should be talking about ideas. We should be talking about who can beat Trump, who can capture the center, who can actually start solving some of these problems, and who can get America working again.
Last quick question, because you are friends with Mr. Steyer. He's just now jumping in. What do you think of that?
Tom and I are good friends. Right? We've had a long-term relationship in business. I like Tom a lot. Again, I think this is a battle of ideas. I think I'm the right person to be the President of the United States. I'm the only person running with experience in business, as an entrepreneur, and experience in government.
All of his impeachment talk? Is that good for the Democrats?
My point is we should be backing Nancy Pelosi. So Tom and I are in a different spot on that.
Okay. John Delaney.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Good luck. See you in Detroit,
Thanks.
right?
Yes.
See you in Detroit. All right. Tragedy on a family vacation. A toddler playing with her grandfather falls to her death. Now questions about an open window and accusations directly against the cruise line. U.S. Women's World Cup title team is back home in the United States and just starting a much-deserved victory lap. So good, so good. The team arriving there at Newark Airport, singing We Are the Champions and greeted by cheers from the crowd, rolling out the red carpet, the whole to-do. Team members beaming, carrying that Gold Cup trophy. They were greeted with handshakes and plenty of applause. Tomorrow they will get a ticker tape parade in the morning here in New York City. But amid the pursuit of a record fourth World Cup title, members of Team USA were also moving ahead with a gender discrimination lawsuit against U.S. Soccer. They're demanding equal pay to their male counterparts. And today on CNN, a couple of players said that they think this historic win makes their case even stronger.
Yeah, I think that this win changes the conversation to, do we deserve it, to, okay, how are we actually going to get the action? What are we going to see from FIFA, from U.S. Soccer, from the sponsors? Because we've always been about pushing forward, not just for ourselves, but for the world. And I think this win was another step in the right direction and just shows that we do deserve it. And they do have to now have action behind it.
Julie Foudy is a two-time FIFA World Cup title winner and Olympic gold medalist. She's with me now from her Leadership Academy there in New Jersey, which focuses on sports and leadership for girls ages 12 to 18. Julie Foudy, welcome home. How are you?
I'm great, Brooke. Really good.
Really
so
good. You were there to watch our ladies win. You are one of few people who actually knows what it feels like to be the best in the world. Can you just describe what that feels like, and especially those first moments coming home?
Well, and for this team to do it back-to-back World Cup titles, there's only one other country that's ever done that on the women's side, and that's Germany. We were never able to do it with our team. It's so hard to do. And on top of that, with all the pressure they went in with them staking, as you were talking about in the Open, their flag in the ground saying, we're not just here to win a World Cup, we're here also for equal pay and a lot of different issues that are near and dear to them. So the emotion, the joy you saw just oozing out of them after they won was so fun to watch because they put a lot on the line for this World Cup.
I still can't get over hearing the words equal pay, right, being chanted by thousands and thousands on Sunday in that crowd. Do you agree with Kelly? Do you think that their win helped their case?
Absolutely. I mean, the narrative coming in was, and in the past for this national team, when we were playing, for example, in the 90s and the early 2000s, was, well, the women's team doesn't make as much money. The women's team doesn't earn as much. Well, the one earning they can actually quantify in U.S. soccer is gate revenue, and for the last 3 years the U.S. women's team has made more in gate revenue than the men. So they have that argument on its own. Now you add to the fact that the popularity, the enthusiasm behind this team, the way they were able to transform a country, and to do it repeatedly in 15, again in 19. I mean, they have all these elements that they bring beyond just being great athletes as great role models. I think it's going to be a tough one for U.S. soccer to turn around and say, yeah, no, I don't, you know, we probably can't pay you as much. They're going to have to come to the table.
Got to ask you about Trump. The president now says he's not sure if he's going to invite these ladies to the White House. We know he criticized the team after Megan Rapinoe, you know, said that she wouldn't go even if she was invited. This is what this is a little bit more of the conversation that these two players had with Poppy earlier today.
Rose, if the president invites you guys to the White House, we'll see. He says they're thinking about it. Do you want to go? Is that important for you and the team?
I think we're kind of all on the same page with this. Kind of, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But, yeah, right now we're just celebrating. But I think we're on the same page.
Which is, what page is that, Kelly? Are you going or are you not?
I think that's a conversation we have to have as a team. And I think that we'll, like she said, deal with it after we enjoy all this time together.
Conversation as a team. I mean, you know these ladies. Do you think that there is even a sliver of a possibility that they would go just out of respect for the office, or on principle, we're going to pass?
I think they're going to pass, but I think there may be a couple on the team who on principle think that they should go. It will be interesting what they decide collectively, but en masse, I think most of that group would rather pass. I think actually an invite is not that important to them. I think that they will want to go speak in front of the House. I think they will want to go speak in front of Senate, because I don't think they're done making their case for equal pay and a lot of other issues that they care about. And as we've seen, Brooke, this is a team that really wants to make a difference, not just for girls in this country and young women, but globally as well.
That's right. And in other sports, as you and I have discussed in the past, Julie Foudy, you are the best, and it's, of course, everything you do for helping those young women at your Leadership Academy there in New Jersey. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
Pressure mounts, you got it. Pressure mounts on the White House over Labor Secretary Alex Acosta and that sweetheart deal he'd organized in a sex crimes case about a decade ago. Plus, who exactly are the rich and powerful surrounding the man accused? I'll talk to the man who wrote